The Australian outback is a vast and desolate place. Its long desert horizons rarely broken by signs of civilization. Fortunately for the traveler, there are roadhouses located at convenient intervals along the track, at which one can obtain fuel, food, and a cold drink. Bus drivers stop at most of these roadhouses so that passengers can make use of the amenities. Quite often, the roadhouses are meeting places for the local Aborigines. As you approach one of these establishments, it is not unusual to find several dozen of the native people sitting on the ground outside the buildings, engaged in conversation. While still a few hours from Darwin, the bus stopped at another roadhouse, and the passengers all went inside for a cold drink. Outside, I noticed an old Aboriginal man. He sat alone at a small table, drinking a beer beneath the shade of a mulga tree. I went inside, bought a beer of my own, then returned and joined the man at his table. To me, the old man looked wise. He had a kind face, and in his wrinkles I saw his wisdom. He wore shorts, a ragged t-shirt, and a blue cowboy hat. The hat accentuated his wrinkled face. He sat barefooted, and his feet exclaimed the many years they had supported his weight. I talked to the old man for quite a while. He knew some English, and it was enough for us to communicate without too much difficulty. I asked if he had ever heard of America. Yes, he had heard of my land across the sea. He told me about his land. I learned that he was a headman of a local clan and a traditional owner of the surrounding area. He had walked 12 miles to the roadhouse that day and was now preparing to walk home again. As the old man talked, I kept thinking, how large the world. Indeed, here we were, two men from opposite sides of the planet, different in so many ways. And yet, as he continued talking, I began to see the things which we had in common. For example, he too feared for the future of our planet. He told me that he worried about the ecology. Gold was being mined in nearby Pine Creek, and we discussed the many changes the old man had seen come upon the land in his lifetime. He talked about the land, and he told me that he worried about the ecology. As he did so, his eyes moved across the length of the horizon. He looked at the land as one who understood it, and as one who belonged to it. In Aboriginal Australia, it is often said that our land is our life. The old man helped me to better understand the meaning of that saying. While we talked, a road train arrived to stir up the dust. We sipped our beers and went on talking. Soon thereafter, there came the sound of a great distant rumbling, a noise like that of thunder. The sound grew nearer, and it shook the ground beneath my feet. As we looked up to see what kind of monster approached, a huge red truck appeared, slowed, and pulled off the road in front of the roadhouse. The truck pulled a trailer in which was perched an enormous yellow bulldozer. In the outback, everything seems large, except the hills, which look thin, ghostly, and fragile. It is within these hills that the gold is located. Unfortunately, the local method of mining includes leveling the landscape in order to extract the precious ore. Already, many of the hills are gone forever. The bulldozer had seemingly come to join in this environmental assault. I watched the old man's eyes move along the entire length of the truck and its massive cargo. I wondered what he was thinking. Just then, a brown dog walked by. The old man's eyes moved quickly to the animal. "My dog," he exclaimed proudly. "Your dog?" I asked in reply. "Yes, my dog," he answered. "My dog." We sat quietly for a while, both watching the dog as he went about his business. As I watched the dog, I wondered what name the old man had given him. In my mind, I entertained a host of possible names. Perhaps the dog was called Boomerang, or even Didgeridoo. And I could imagine even more esoteric names derived from the Dreamtime. I had to know the dog's name. "What's your dog's name?" I asked the old man. He did not answer right away, but seemed to think about my question. He did not understand what I had asked, and I could see the struggle in his face. His wrinkles seemed to multiply. Surely this dog has a name, I thought to myself. But what if he did not? I began to feel embarrassed. How ethnocentric of me to assume that all people give names to their pets. I looked further into the old man's face. Suddenly his eyes brightened, and he answered, "Rover." Rover? Surely I had misunderstood his answer. I looked at the dog, then turned to the man and asked, "Rover?" "Rover," he replied, shaking his head in acknowledgement. "My dog's name is Rover." That's incredible, I thought. I would have never guessed. We did not say much after that, and the outback's long silence soon enveloped us. The dog continued to go about his business, and the old man's eyes followed him across the way. I knew that the bus was about to depart, and then I would soon find myself far from this roadhouse, never to see the old man again. For a while we sat there together, perhaps each of us thinking how small the world. Indeed, we had so much in common. Although I now knew the name of the dog, I did not know the name of the man, nor did he know mine. However, a name no longer seemed so important. After all, what's in a name?